Welcome to the Build Story. In the heart of a dense forest, a man begins the journey of building a wooden house with his own hands. His first task is to prepare the foundation of his future home. He starts by bringing large logs from the deep woods. Using a tool called a peavey, which helps in rolling and positioning logs, he maneuvers them into place. With a drawknife, a traditional woodworking tool with a long blade and handles at both ends, he meticulously shaves the bark off each log, revealing the clean wood underneath. He does this for both large diameter logs, which will form the main structure, and smaller diameter logs for the walls. To protect the freshly peeled logs from ground moisture, which can cause the wood to rot, he fashions simple stands. With an axe, he sharpens the ends of several small wooden sticks and drives them into the ground. He then places the logs on top of these stands, keeping them elevated and dry. He turns his attention to the foundation. He gathers a large pile of stones and prepares a natural mortar. By mixing soil with water to create a thick, clay-like substance. This technique, known as daubing or creating a cob mixture, will be used to bind the stones and create a solid floor. He carefully lays the first course of stones in a rectangular outline for the house. He then fills the area within the stones with the clay mixture, creating a solid base. He adds another layer of stones on top of the first, building up a low foundation wall. This foundation will provide a stable and dry base for the log structure. Once the foundation is ready, he begins erecting the main frame of the house. places 4 of the largest logs upright at the 4 corners of the foundation. To hold these massive posts in place temporarily, he braces them with long, thin wooden sticks, securing them with nails. With the main post standing, he starts filling in the walls. He measures and cuts the smaller diameter logs to fit snugly between the corner posts. To join the logs together securely, he carves out sections in the corner posts, a technique known as notching. To add more stability, he places additional vertical logs in the middle of the longer wall sections. Then the man begins to construct the roof. He removes the temporary support sticks and builds a square frame on top of the walls. To create the classic triangular roof shape, he first places 2 shorter vertical logs on the front and back walls, which will form the peak of the roof. He then lays a horizontal log, called a ridge beam, across the top of these 2 posts. To complete the roof's framework, he attaches more logs at an angle, running from the ridge beam down to the side walls, creating the rafters. He also carefully cuts and fits logs to frame out a window opening in the roof. Any excess wood that extends beyond the roof line is neatly trimmed off. To further strengthen the walls and support the weight of the roof, he adds more logs between the main posts using the notching technique. fireplace and chimney are essential, the man builds a square structure using stones and his clay mortar. This structure starts from the ground and extends up through the roof, becoming a chimney. He builds it layer by layer with great care, ensuring it is solid and safe. This stone structure will serve as a fireplace inside the cabin and a chimney to carry the smoke outside. Now that the main log frame of the house is standing tall, it is time for the man to make it a true home. The biggest job is to make the walls warm and strong enough to keep out the cold wind and rain. He walks through the woods and gathers big armfuls of dry grass and soft green moss. He takes handfuls of the grass and moss and pushes it deep into every single crack and space between the logs. He packs it in very tightly, making sure there are no holes left. This is a slow job, and he has to do it for every wall, both inside and outside the house. This natural filling acts like a warm blanket for the house. It stops the cold air from getting in and keeps the warm air from the fire from getting out. When he is finished, the walls are solid and sealed, ready for winter. With the walls now warm and sealed, the man looks up at the roof. It needs to be strong and waterproof to protect him from snow and rain. First, he builds the main surface of the roof. For this, he uses smaller logs that are not as thick as the wall logs. He decides to leave the bark on these roof logs. The bark is like a natural waterproof jacket for the wood, and it will add an extra layer of protection. He lays these logs one by one across the top of the roof frame, placing them close together until the entire roof is covered with a solid layer of wood. But a wooden roof alone is not enough for the harsh winter ahead. As the weather gets colder, the man adds a second layer. He takes a very large black sheet made of a waterproof material like a tarp. He carefully pulls this big black sheet over the entire roof, making sure it covers every log from top to bottom. He pulls it tight so it will not flap in the wind. This black tarp is like a modern raincoat for his house. It will stop any water from melting snow from dripping inside. A house is more than just a box to keep you dry. It can also be a beautiful thing. The man is a craftsman and he wants his home to look special, so he adds some finishing touches. For the edges of the roof, he takes a log and very skillfully splits it perfectly in half down the middle. This gives him two long pieces of wood that are flat on one side and round on the other. He carefully lifts these half logs and attaches them along the bottom edges of the roof. This creates a lovely thick border or trim that makes the roof look finished and strong. For the front and back of the house, the man does something very creative. He takes a small log and cuts it into many thin round slices like big wooden coins. Then he takes these wooden circles and attaches them to the gables. He overlaps them one on top of the other in a pattern that looks like the scales of a fish. This beautiful design shows how much care and skill he is putting into his home. Now, for the final layer of the roof, he gets the big bundles of dry grass that he collected earlier and spreads them all over the black tarp. He puts a very thick layer of this grass on, turning the black roof into a golden brown one. This is called a thatched roof. This type of roof is amazing for insulation. It will keep the house extra warm in the winter and surprisingly cool in the summer. It also makes the cabin look like a timeless home. With the outside of the house complete, the man moves inside to make it a comfortable place to live. He builds himself some furniture from the wood he has left over. The first thing he makes is a long and tall workbench. This bench is high enough so he can stand and work comfortably preparing wood or fixing his tools. It also gives him a place to store things and keep the cabin tidy. A house is not a home until you can close the door and look out the windows, so that is what he builds next. He makes a strong and heavy door from thick wooden planks and attaches a simple wooden handle to it. For the windows, he builds 2 wooden frames and carefully fits panes of real glass inside. The glass is precious in the wilderness. It lets the beautiful sunlight stream into the cabin, making it bright and cheerful while still keeping the cold wind outside.